Mr. Carmen, will you read the mission statement, please?
Through combined efforts of students, staff, parents, and community members, our mission is to foster the confidence, knowledge, cognition, and character necessary to instill a strong work ethic, to create an environment of tolerance and respect, and to ignite an attitude of inquiry and enthusiasm for learning that will enable students to become productive, responsible citizens.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to accept the agenda? Motion Mr. King, second Mrs. Jerry. All in favor? So moved. Next, we have Mrs. Janet Roblicki, former board member here tonight. Superintendent would like to say a few words.
So this is from NYSBA. The New York State School Boards Association offers a recognition program designed to provide school board members with professional development opportunities and acknowledge those who strive to continually expand their governance knowledge and skills. The recognition program is comprised of 4 achievement levels, which are reached by accumulating points for participating in various association training activities, including workshops, academies, webinars, advocacy events, custom board retreats, and the annual convention and expo. The NYSBA staff and board of directors would like to congratulate Janet Roblicki for having earned a Level 4 Board Lifetime Achievement Award, which includes recognition in our on-board newspaper as well as the following items: a certificate for free registration to our annual convention, a certificate of recognition, a commemorative plaque, and an executive pen set. On behalf of NYSBA, I'd also like to congratulate Janet Roblicki.
Thank you. Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Here's your stuff. Oh, here's your pen.
I think that's pretty pen. Great.
Mrs.
Oh, I should
Roblicki,
have
I'm
gone like
gonna,
this. I should have done that.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay, you can take a picture of my mother.
Cute. Nice.
Mrs. Roblicki, I'm gonna ask you to stand there a minute while I ask Mrs. Roblicki to hold this. Can you get it, or do you want to? No, I got it.
Yep.
Okay. On behalf of the New York Mills Union Free School District, and the Board of Education and the administrators, we would like to present you with the Order of the Orange and Blue for everything you have done for the advancement of the children in this district and for your advocacy and your support and being one of New York Mills' biggest cheerleaders ever. Thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure working with you all these years. Thank you. Is that okay? That's where it all started. Thank you for coming tonight, Mrs. Roblicki.
Thank you.
Moving on, President's messages. Don't have a lot of messages, however, I do want to make a statement for our general public who tries to come and listen to our meetings and have been unable to successfully listen and hear what's going on. Certainly we want to be as transparent as possible. It's the goal of this board and the administrators here at New York Mills to make sure that there is clear, correct information being disseminated so everyone has an idea of what's going on. That being said, we're hoping to get the glitches out so that everyone will be able to clearly hear the meetings and will be able to clearly know what's happening and going on, and know that the proper people to get a hold of in the event of any questions would be our first line, Mr. Dodge and Mrs. Facci, or also Dr. Shamanen. We hope that this clears up everything. Again, we as a board profusely apologize for any inconvenience, and we hope that moving forward, this will be much clearer for everyone. BOCES representative report, we have none tonight. I'm sure Dr. Purcelli will be giving them to us again shortly when school resumes. Committee reports, I believe we only have the Health and Safety Committee and Communications to report out tonight. Mr. King, would you like to report out?
Sure. The Health and Safety Committee met on 8/26. We had, I believe, 14 that attended, including village trustees, representatives from the fire department, the police department, parents, administration, sheriff, and Board of Education. We did introductions and welcomes. We reviewed the district-wide safety plan, which is obviously proactive, and a preventative plan. Reviewed the opening plan, and then there were several different questions from the floor, which we were able to answer, and I'm happy to share those questions with everybody. They were mostly about the reopening. There was a few that were about the safety plan itself. I thought it was a very productive meeting. The people there seemed to be highly engaged and the right people to be there. And I appreciate everybody that gave some time to make that happen. The other thing is that right now, the health and safety fair is on a temporary hold, we think, because of the timing and when it was and whether or not the turkey trot will happen this year. So I haven't said anything to anybody yet, but I'd like to consider holding it in the spring if possible, depending on how things shake out between now and then.
I know it's been a
An
big,
interesting
really,
fall.
really big tradition of having the turkey trot, so it would be interesting to see if we could just move it so we didn't lose that tradition, because sometimes when things stop for 1 year, it's hard to get the
Yeah.
momentum back again.
I agree, maybe we can do a Valentine's Day trout or something like that for this year.
That would be nice. Bunny run. I used to the bunny.
Miss-
Easter
the
trout,
bunny
a
hop.
hoppy trout.
There you go. Mrs. Hubley?
So the Communication and Survey Committee met just prior to the board meeting. That committee consists of Mrs. Jordan, Mr. Carmen, Dr. Shelmadine, and we also have Rebecca Daly, our PR representative that will attend. We did discuss the new app that has been rolled out, and we just wanted to make sure the public is aware of that app. It's available, the link is available on our Facebook page, it's pinned at the top of it, and it's also on our webpage, and that will give out a lot of information. You'll get alerts to updates that are coming out. We just think that's a great tool to have, especially for busy parents and what's going on with the opening of school and how things are changing constantly. I did want to say that the printed calendar that is usually out around this time, that had been delayed due to the constant changes and the fluidity of what's happening. So that is approved at this point, and it should be going to print by the end of the week. So it will be delayed, but it is on its way. And also the same status with the newsletter, before school newsletter, that should be coming shortly. I did want to make a comment on our Facebook page. We see that there are comments from parents and community members on the Facebook page. We just want to remind you that that is mainly monitored by our PR representative, Rebecca Daly. She will answer simple questions as far as what time school will start or things like that, but any questions that you have, as Jackie Edwards had said, we want to make sure that you're going to the right people for the questions that you have. So that would be, again, Mrs. Facci, Mr. Dodge, or Dr. Shelmadine. And I just wanted to share like our goal for the year. We made a quick goal. And of course that'll change as things move on and we move on. We just wanted to say that the goal for communications is to share as much as possible, as soon as possible, and as clear as possible.
Thank you, Mrs. Hubley. 3.1, consent agenda. I need a motion for, okay, Mrs. Jordan. Second, Mrs. Albright. Discussion? Mr. King?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I saw, but the main one was in the treasurer's report. There's, in the Herthman Foundation, there are 2 lines for the Herthman Foundation, and one of them has a non-expendable of $5,000. And $3,000 was charged against that non-expendable, making it look like it was in the negative, but actually it was just charged to the wrong line, at least explained to me. So that will be, I guess, fixed in the next time we see it. But I just wanted to put that out there, so if somebody's looking at that report, they understand why we can have a negative balance in a fund we administer.
Okay, well, thank you. And thank you for bringing that to our attention. So call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Approval of the board minutes dated August 4th, 2020. Can I get a motion? Motion, Mr. King, second, Mrs. Jerry. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Approval of the meeting minutes dated August 18th, 2020. Can I get a motion? Motion, Mrs. Jordan, second, Mrs. Jerry. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Old business, 4.1, capital outlay update. Doctor?
So the capital outlay drawings and specs are complete, and they should be ready for final submission, so we can begin to schedule that work. We did have to do some verification regarding the lack of asbestos in the home and career classroom. That is the focus for this year's capital outlay. I'm going to kind of move on to the capital project, if I might, as well. We should be getting the green light on the Phase 1 plan for the capital project soon. It will include touchless faucets in the bathrooms, along with repairs to the back wall of the auditorium and paving work to address the high curb at the end of the walkway. Danforth has been in to do the detailed energy audit. They're submitting a NYSERDA grant on our behalf to recoup 50% of the cost of the audit, so it would save us roughly $16,000 that would be covered by the grant.
Thank you. Next, 4.3, current openings, extracurricular. Doctor, would you like to speak to that?
Yep, there was a request to see kind of what we were still looking for, so I'm trying to find my report. Thank you. So you'll see many of them are coaching positions. High school pep band is the only one, and with the resignation, we probably will have somebody in-house who will apply for that. The sports ones that are open, some of them, we have interest for them. They just have to complete some coaching certification requirements. And then the rest, some of it is dependent on whether we even get to run sports, but some of them will be filled as we go along. Are there any questions about the things that were there?
Any questions on that? We don't need a motion on any of this or any action.
No.
It was just for informational purposes. Moving on, 5.1, personnel report. Can I get a motion? Motion, Mrs. Albright, second, Mrs. Hubley. Any discussion?
Just to reiterate from my message earlier that on my spreadsheet, I do have a sheet too that has things listed, and I just want to make sure that it's clear that we're not approving any of the things that are listed on the second sheet.
On a second sheet?
There is no
No.
second sheet.
The official document should be,
I do on mine. I have a second.
I have one too.
Yeah.
page-
Oh,
sheet
okay,
two.
there isn't,
Yeah.
yeah, there's nothing on the second. I'm not sure why it does that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, in case anybody's.
Okay.
so let's preface it by who made the motion here? Mrs. Albright?
Maybe.
You're acting on Roman numerals 1 through 10, okay?
Right, but on sheet 2, it has 3 and 4.
But can we just make a comment though? It's saying that it's for school year 2018 to 2019.
Right.
Okay.
So it looks like it's an error on the spreadsheet.
Right.
Error on the spreadsheet.
It's just an extra sheet. I just want to make sure that, you know what I mean, just for the sake of.
Okay,
Yeah.
posterity, yeah,
Yep.
okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. 5.1, approval of combining contracts between Notre Dame Junior Senior High and New York. 5.2, approval of combining contracts between Notre Dame Junior Senior High and New York Mills. Doctor, would you like to speak to that?
Sure. So Notre Dame reached out to us. As you know, our girls have been going over and playing soccer, both at the modified level and most recently at the varsity level. And so we got the request to continue that program, which I know we've had our girls be very successful. Also, Notre Dame has requested that they would run our modified football program. And so those are the 3 requests.
Okay, so I need a motion. Motion, Mrs. Albright, second, Mrs. Jerry. Any discussion?
Same question I always ask you, Mr. Dodge, will it affect our programs at all? Does it take students away that would normally be playing our teams and then make it difficult for us to field the team?
With soccer, it's the same people that have gone, as Dr. Shelmadine has alluded to, it's the same people that go. It's, they just moved up levels now, so that's why you see the varsity one and still the modified one, because I think there's a younger sibling. As far as the modified football, we don't know what our numbers are gonna look like. You know, as we ended abruptly last year and didn't have the chance to hold those year-end meetings to kind of get some of that stuff in place before we leave, so we know what our numbers are coming into the fall. Right now, we know that, you know, half of that team, if not more, will move up to the varsity level. You know, that kind of leaves that depleted. So I think it provides an opportunity for our modified guys to play, if they do play, which is unlikely at this point. If they're gonna do something, it'll probably be spring. I don't foresee football getting off the ground anytime soon, so. So again, it's no more in the soccer realm, and for football, you know what's up with football.
Right.
Okay.
Mrs. Hubble?
And I guess just to feed off Mr. King, so the players that played modified with Notre Dame, we're combining it. I think we need to think about what he's speaking of, is that could there be an issue with the boys staying with Notre Dame and playing for them, and then we don't have a football team, and not all our players in the future may not be able to play?
I think long-term, it's hard to project what's gonna happen with those guys as they move forward.
Okay.
You know, and what's gonna happen with our team. And again, I think that we've talked about this before in
Right.
terms of exploring options for our fall sports offerings. So we have talked about that in the past. I can't project what's gonna happen and who's gonna be interested, you know, again, and I take this back to the sports boosters about, you guys need a feeder program. You can't just walk in 7th grade and strap a helmet on a kid and expect them to want to play football. You know, so it helps to have some of that youth football going on, so that you have feeders. So, and we don't have that right now, so that's.
Yeah, and although I agree with what Mr. King's saying, because certainly we always want to think about our programs first, but the other part of me says that offering an opportunity to a child that doesn't exist is better than no opportunity at all. So I'm grateful that Notre Dame has extended that olive branch to us and said, you know, send some of your children along. I agree with what you said, that maybe we need to start thinking outside the box and saying what kind of feeder programs are we going to have to sustain our own programs here. And certainly students that are going to run cross-country are always going to run it for New York Mills, or run track are always going to run it for New York Mills. Field hockey, I would hope that we would reciprocate with them and open our doors to them if they wanted to come here and play field hockey. So I think it might be a good relationship, and you know, your point is very well taken, Mr. King. We certainly want to preserve what we have intact.
Was the resignation approved on the personnel report? Did that come before or after this?
I have no way of
Came,
Almost simultaneously.
yeah, it actually did.
If you can believe that, then
Okay,
it's probably very uncoincidental.
okay.
Well, my feeling would be that a lot of coaches in the area do speak to each other and talk, and
Right.
there was probably some conversations that were taking place already, which would probably account for the simultaneous
Okay.
occurrence.
Okay. And do we, never mind. Different. I'll save that question.
Any other questions? Call the question. All in favor? So moved. 5.3, we need to approve non-resident, non-tuition students. Mr. King,
Motion.
motion. Mrs. Hubley, second. Doctor, would you like to speak to it?
Sure, so many of these you approved at your July reorganization meeting. Most of the new additions are actually employees' children who attend another district. And so their loss, New Hartford loss in particular, is our gain. And so as per their contract, we're putting them on the list for your approval.
It'll be pretty hard to annex us when we're taking their students.
There is that.
Wow.
If I could just say though, the one thing that we have done though is we're not taking just non-resident tuition students. We felt that given we have some students who are out remotely who may make the decision to come back. We certainly have students who may move into the district. And so the numbers were really too tight for me to feel comfortable taking non-resident tuition students.
Thank you. So, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Even the Dodge kids?
Even the Dodge kids.
Wow.
Let's hope they're better behaved than their father.
There goes the neighborhood.
I gotta be cool in school too.
Now, which one is going for a 6.1 principals?
I can go. So we're excited to see our students come back next week. Everyone's been working really hard, getting ready for them in a safe manner. Last week I conducted tours for 7th graders, socially distanced, so they could at least see the classrooms and kind of understand the process coming in and the changes and transitioning from class to class. We also did the virtual tour on Facebook Live, which I know you're aware of. That seems to be well received. I just wanted to say that, to thank some people. Deb Ellis has done an unbelievable job and amount of work this summer working on the hybrid schedule. It's a daunting task to schedule a normal schedule, let alone a hybrid one. It was a formidable undertaking. She put a lot of hours in and I think she did a great job.
Mrs. Facci, would you think that a letter into her personnel file would be in order?
Absolutely, that was in the back of my mind also. Also, the custodians, they've had tons of new tasks thrown at them, some with very little turnaround time. They've all done everything we've asked of them with a smile, and I just really appreciate their hard work. So we're looking forward to starting the new year.
I had the opportunity to run into some of your custodial staff, and they are really thrilled with their new supervisor, Mrs. Stamboli. I've heard words like approachable and easy to talk to and fair, so.
It's the honeymoon phase.
Yeah. And I kept saying, is that the same Mrs. Stamboli that was the treasurer? Because okay. Just kidding, Lisa. Mr. Dodge, how back to follow?
All right, yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I'd like to echo the sentiment about the custodians. Even though when they see me, they scatter like mice. They know I got something cooking. We've had a lot of changes in the elementary wing over the last 2 weeks. It's been a crazy undertaking, splitting 5 rooms and moving teachers' belongings, and and I can't say enough about not only the staff who have taken the hit like champs. They have. It was a big lift, and they did great with it. But the custodians, anything I asked for, anything I needed, they bent over backwards to make sure that we got it. So they did a fabulous job. So I wanted to echo that as well. Like I said, a lot of changes, a lot of things going on in cooking. Everything from how are we doing specials to how are we doing lunch to, just a lot of change, and it's going to look a lot different this year than it has in any other year here. So we're excited to get going. We just need to get kids in the building. That's where we're at right now. So we're excited for that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Dodge. Next, 7.1 enrollment update. Doctor?
You saw the numbers. The numbers certainly are fluid, and I will be updating again this week at the update. That was as of last Friday. So you can see that essentially 68% or 68 students their parents have chosen 100% remote. That's moved a couple more students, I know, this week, but I think mostly we're seeing the movement stop. Altogether, our total census right now is 552 students.
Inclusive of the remote and the out of district?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Just wanted to know that there's a substantial increase in students, new students in itself, am I right? Because I'm not those that are remote, but there seems to be a large from August to September in almost every grade.
Yeah, but we knew that was happening because August, we spent most of the summer knowing that there were new students who had moved into the district, but we had not seen them, and so now registrations are coming in, so people are getting ready.
So it should be noted that although the numbers are reflected here as 552, within the building walls, the concrete walls here, there are 402 students that will physically be here, which is substantially less than what we're generally used to in the building.
452.
What?
452. 100 less.
Now, if we had 552 and 100 less, yeah,
452.
452, yeah. Yeah, 452, which is still considerably less than what we're used to in this building entirely. Let's hope that eventually we can get back to that 550 and even to higher, 570, as the year progresses.
That would be awesome.
People come back. Seven point two, superintendent's update on the COVID reopening.
No, it's going to be a lot of ditto from what you've already heard. I am thrilled that we are welcoming staff back officially tomorrow. The closing was a little bit odd, the opening's going to be equally odd. We won't be meeting with the staff all together like we usually do, so we'll be doing the opening at faculty meetings so that we can maintain that social distancing. And I am more than thrilled that next Tuesday our students are coming back. That has been the goal of having our students back in these halls, and I cannot wait for that to happen. But again, that has happened because of a lot of hard work. So the maintenance department, again, has done a great job. They have handled it with grace, and it has not been easy, especially in some of those hot days. I'm thrilled that our support teachers have been so flexible, that they're taking on a classroom in order to lower the class numbers. That obviously has been a reason for certainly some of the extra work, but certainly one of the reasons that we are able to open so safely. And I also want to congratulate and thank our two principals who've done an incredible job. We're working schedules, trying to anticipate every need, so everybody has really pulled together and done a great job, and so kudos to you. And Lisa and Joyce have weathered all of the last minute requests for sneeze shields and masks and disinfectants and all the things that we typically don't have to purchase for a school. For the 4 students in 6th grade, as you know, K-5, we're working with OHM BOCES. That was also going to be true of 6th grade, except that we were then the only district who needed 6th grade remote instruction. So it was just our 4 students, which wasn't cost effective enough for BOCES to run. So we've approached a couple of our 6th grade teachers who will be getting a stipend to plan and deliver the remote instruction for those 4 students. So I'm thrilled about that. That all kind of came together at the last minute today. We are seeing new students coming in to register, including 4 students from Ecuador. Ecuador. We think it's because of Indium, but we don't know for that for sure. We're working with BOCES to find another English as a new language teacher, an ENL teacher. The grades for the students who are coming from Ecuador range from grades 3rd grade, I think, 3rd, 5th, and 11th and 12th, I think, are the 4 grades. So depending on what their language abilities are, we may have to increase that. I know we'll end up increasing that through BOCES, but we may need to come back and visit whether we need to make that position our own for right now. But as soon as we know more, we do the testing when those students come in, we'll be able to make a better plan. I have asked Mr. Dash to survey other districts for a job description and stipend amount for their site supervisors. And once we have that information, we'll come to the board with a recommendation. Obviously, he wasn't getting a lot of feedback back from districts at this point on site supervisors. So I'm assuming that once the school year starts and sports start looking like more of a possibility, we can get people back answering those questions. I would also like to ask the board for a second meeting this month to review the contracts of the administrators and the confidential secretary. That meeting would be an executive session for the purpose of negotiations.
What day are you looking at?
I was probably going to work with the board president. It'll be either one of our Tuesdays, or if people would prefer, because we have a work session planned for Tuesday, if we wouldn't rather do like a Wednesday. I don't know what people's availability are on Wednesdays.
I'm going to ask the board to email Kristen some dates, and then Kristen and I'll get together and see what works. If we can do it Tuesday, that would be preferable because it kind of keeps things on a schedule. But if you could email that to Kristen and let her know your availability, then we'll be able to tally it. And even if we just have a quorum, if 5 of you can be there, then we'll let it go. We'll move along with the 5, and then you follow up afterwards. So just give her those dates.
I just have a question, like how far, you're looking for a second day in September?
Yeah, this month.
We have our work session scheduled for September 9th. Is there a way to do that before that?
It'll be too much.
Is it too early or too much?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I was just trying to,
This really would need its own meeting, so we could devote our full attention to it.
well, because it's at 6 o'clock, so I was thinking we could do 5. But you think that an hour is not enough and you don't want to combine the two on the same day?
I mean, we could, if that's agreeable to everybody else. I mean, if you think we can just buckle down and get what we need to do done in an hour, then that's
So
fine.
the other option would be that the facility committee meets kind of earlier than most of the committees. I think we meet at 4:30.
Mhm.
So it would be that we would be here at 5:30 would be, would be an earlier meeting. So either that 15th or the 9th.
Why don't we try it the day of our work session, because we're all gonna be here,
I think we're.
and then we're not cutting the committee
Mr.
meeting.
Deacon has something.
I get out of work at 5, so I'll get here as soon after that as I can.
Okay,
Depending on the day, it might be 5 after before I can get out of the building, and then it's only a 5-minute drive.
it's a
so-
5-minute drive,
Yeah.
and Steve, this is not your first rodeo, so you can catch up pretty quick.
I think so.
Okay.
Okay, so we're looking at,
So we're doing it next Tuesday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I'm sorry.
Before our work session.
I just thought because we're all coming in at 6 anyway,
Yeah.
so we do it at 5. Is
We
that-
just get our work session, in. And we're only talking about 3 of them, and I don't think it's going to be that difficult to get through them.
Okay, that's good then? Okay,
For 5 of them.
wait, there's 5.
Oh, 5, yeah.
Is that too much then in an hour?
No, because the,
No, they're kind of
We-
clumped together, right?
We have a template, and we have something that we work from there, and then it may be a point of making changes to a percentage. I don't think that we'll have to be looking at healthcare at this time. There were concessions the last time. So basically, it's deciding where we want to come out with percentages or any other benefits that they may feel that they would like to ask for, or that maybe we're in a position to give them at this time.
All right, so we're gonna stay with that then. Okay,
What's that one out?
thank you.
Okay, and from the floor, Stephanie, did you receive anything, questions or concerns?
I received a letter from Jean Marley, and she asked that I read this letter to the board this evening.
Okay,
And if you'll all indulge me,
You might have to speak up because the camera's on the other side.
Okay. As we enter into a school year like none we have seen before, I encourage us all to continue to have patience and compassion for one another. Our students and staff will be returning to school this year with a wide variety of emotions and fears. The pandemic has brought us challenges that have given us the opportunity to flex our creative problem-solving skills. There will inevitably be more obstacles to overcome if 2020 proves to be as unpredictable as it has thus far. The staff at New York Mills has worked through the summer in order to plan and build on what sometimes feels like quicksand. As districts around us opt for delayed starts and have altered plans, we have worked diligently to provide a safe environment in school for our students to learn. This has meant that some staff were willing to step out of their traditional roles to put all hands on deck to create smaller class sizes in order to meet the recommended safety guidelines. For some of our educators, this has meant making the unselfish decision to put their own professional goals on hold for a time in order to do what is best for the bigger picture. These challenges to our programs meet the challenges posed by this pandemic. Our goal will be to continue to be focused on getting back to normal, where our students have their STEM teacher, their library media specialist, and their RTI providers back, utilizing their specialized strengths and skills to foster the education and future successes of our students at New York Mills. Knowing some of the logistical challenges this school year brings, I am strongly advocating to maintain the teacher assistant positions that the district plans to eliminate. As I stated earlier, I believe now more than ever we will need all hands on deck in order to make this transition into a school year like none other. This year, our students and by extension our staff will need more support than ever. Academic, social, and emotional supports in order to foster the connections and build the relationships that will see our students through not just this coming school year, but through their lives ahead. We can all look back to our grade school days and think of those adults in school that we had a special connection to, the people that really saw us and cared. Our students need us to be there for them now. I am concerned they will feel the loss of these dedicated teacher assistants in the year to come and when they will be needed most. I realize that there are many unknowns that face us this year. I understand that state aid is a disaster. I know that the possibility of keeping our school buildings open for an extended period of time this year is uncertain. I ask that you reevaluate the decision to eliminate the teacher assistants positions in order to fully support our students this fall as we go back to school 2020 pandemic style. Thank you for taking the time for this statement. Jean Marley.
Thank you for relaying that to us. Any other comments?
No, that was the only one.
That was
That
the
letter
only
was
one?
sent to me.
Okay, moving on. 8.2, board discussion. I'm gonna just see if anybody has anything for the good of the order. Mr. King, do you have any questions?
I'm good.
Mrs. J,
I'm okay right now.
Mrs. Albright.
No, I just think that it's important that we reiterate that decisions, unfortunately, right now are based on numbers, and it's things that can't really be made based on emotions at this point. And it's very unfortunate the decisions that the board has to make, but unfortunately, things have to be done. So.
Thank you, Mrs. Albright, and I agree wholeheartedly with that comment.
Yep.
Mrs. Albright?
No, I'm gonna say I agree with Mrs. Albright's comment as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, not at this time.
Okay, and I just, it was kind of interesting that you decided to mention that, Mrs. Albright, because I was thinking the same thing. We certainly appreciate and value every employee and every job that they do here. Sometimes it's very uncomfortable to be in these chairs, but it's something that we committed to do, and we always do what's in the best interest of the whole community. The school community, as well as our taxpayers that support this school building and the school community. And sometimes those decisions don't come easy. And as you said, when we deal with rationality versus emotionality, sometimes there's an entirely different outcome. But I also know that from being here a while, if you try to be all things to everyone and please everyone, you eventually end up being nothing to no one. So it's important that we keep children first in every decision that we make. And I believe our administrators, and particularly Dr. Shalmanine and our two principals, did that when they conceded to the teachers may have a point to smaller classroom sizes. That was keeping children safe. Unfortunately, we cannot justify when you downsize a classroom, then filling it back up with adults. There's the rub. And I think that we have extremely capable, competent teachers that work in New York Mills. We all know the type of teachers we have here. And I think asking them to deal with a class of between 10 and 13 is not an unreasonable expectation against their abilities. So I want to say I sympathize with our administrators for having to make those tough decisions. And I'm proud of my board for being able to look at the big picture and separate their emotions from their rationality. Thank you again. Any other comments? I don't see that we need an executive session here tonight, unless anyone knows of a reason. So then, I'll
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn, Mr. King. Can I get a second on Mr. King's motion? Second, Mrs. Hubley. Any discussion? All in favor? So moved. Thank you all.
Spring